that? That's
Tape right now?
Oh, okay.
I hate that because that's really like enforcing the geek stereotype. Like I'm teaching math in computer classes. At least it's not in the middle,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I thought you said it was taped in the middle, and I was like, oh, you're a pretty good taper.
I don't know what happened there, but I gotta fix that. All right. So, anyway, hopefully you brought your laptops today because we're gonna go over a little bit of material, and then we're going to kind of apply this with Excel. And some of it, I'm sure you guys know how to do, and some of it will be new to you. But what we're talking about in this chapter is business intelligence systems. And so when we talk about business intelligence systems, we first say, hey, we need data from somewhere. And one of the big sources of data is just operational data. And operational data is just data that is generated from us running our business. You know, people buy things, that's data. People click on things on our website, that's data. People look at tweets, they tweet things, that's data. That's operational data. Social data is kind of relationship data, you know, how things are related to one another. Sometimes gleaned from customer records, like this is my son, this is my wife. Sometimes gleaned from social media. We saw that you can buy data to kind of fill in blanks if you want to market to people specifically. We looked at the Axiom catalog. That's a seller of data. So that's purchase data. And then the third thing is, or the fourth thing is employee knowledge. Now, these all go into, okay, all these things. The data has nuggets of gold in it, right? It has, data on itself is just data, right? But we want to take that data and we want to look for patterns, we want to look for trends, we want to look for things that can help us make decisions better. So in the business world, we use business intelligence systems to help inform people to decide, to problem solve, and the project management. So a couple things. This is all review. We talked about the three main steps. So acquire data, and then we analyze the data, and then we publish reports. And today, we're specifically going to talk about some steps we can do in the reporting application or the analyzing application. So first things first, there are really 5 basic operations we can do to data to make information. You know, to take raw data, the operational data, whatever it might be, purchase data, take that data to make information. And the first one is simply sorting. Okay, sorting is, you know, putting it in some order, putting in customer order, highest amount, lowest amount. So sorting is number one. The second thing is filtering. Okay, filtering is the ability to only show certain things. You know, if you play fantasy football, you may say, I need a kicker, so you don't want to see all the free agents, you want to just see the kicker. So you filter that out, right? So filtering is used in the business world. I don't want to see all transactions. Maybe I want to see transactions done in the last 10 minutes or in the state of Oklahoma. So I only want to see a subset, a filter of those. We can also do something called grouping. Okay, grouping means putting things together in one group. Let's group all the transactions in the East Coast together. Let's group all this customer's transactions together so that we can analyze things better. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Obviously, one of the big strengths of information systems we can calculate, right? We can say they bought 3 items. Each item was totaled for $15. Our total sale was $45. Our average number of sales of this unit was $83. Okay, we can do kind of functions, calculating functions. And then finally, the last thing is we can format things. So formatting can help us, you know, see trends, help us understand data. So calculating and formatting. Okay, we're going to do all these things with Excel. We're going to show you some Excel tools that do all these things. So that's one thing I want you to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Now, one way, and this is something that is done with, and we'll do one of these, something that is done with a customer base. Okay, this is an example of taking information, analyzing it, and then, or taking data, analyzing, getting information, is something called RFM analysis. Okay, so we have we have a customer database, right? And we have maybe a sales team that manages those relationships. And you know, one of the big decisions our sales team has to ask themselves is, where do I spend my time? You know, what customers are worth it, and what customers should I just let go? Like, what relationships should I, you know, try to maybe upsell? What relationships should I check on and make sure everything's good? Or what customer relationships should I just say they're no good? So we have, you know, our sales records. Our sales records would be an example of what type of data? Operational, purchase, social, or what was the other one? Knowledge. What sales data is an example of what type of data? How do I get sales data? Operational data, purchase data, social data, or from knowledge workers? What's that? Purchase data is data I purchase. It's operational database because I make a sale, I save that, right? I save the attributes of that sale. It was done by this customer on this date for this amount. So we have all that. We have all that information, all that data. Well, we can use these 5 reporting tools, and we can look for trends. And one of the ways we do that is something called an RFM analysis. And this is a way of kind of analyzing your customer base. So we rank all of our customers on 3 attributes. The first one, the R, stands for recent. Okay, recency. When have they purchased recently? If they purchased from us recently, they get a 1. If they purchased from us, well, a long time ago, a 5. So let's say we have 1,000 customers, so 1 to 1,000. You know, we sort it by date, and the top 200 get a 1, the next 200 get a 2, the next 200 get a 3, next 200 get a 4, and the last 200 get a 5. So they're ranked. You know, these are the people that purchased from us the most recently. These are the second group, these are the third group, fourth group, and fifth group. So that's one thing we rank them on. F stands for frequency. So we would sort the customers by number of transactions and then rank them according to that. So if they purchase from us frequently, they're in the top 20% of purchasers, they get a 1. If they're in the bottom 20%, they get a 5. Okay, top, you know, the second 20%, they get a 2. Makes kind of sense. And the third thing we rank them on is monetary. How much have they spent? Okay, so if it's big bucks, right? If they've total spent $1 million with us, they get a 1. If they spent, I don't know, $50 with us, you know, maybe they get a 5. Okay, so we take every customer and we rank them on 3 attributes, RFM. So that gives us information. It's information we can use to make the decision about what our sales teams does with these certain customers. So if I look at these examples up here, Big 7 Sports. What about Big 7 Sports? We've done our RFM analysis, and we've come up with a 113. What does that mean? What does that mean about Big 7 Sports? Mark. Okay, very good. They are a customer that is still with us, right? We know because they purchased recently. Seems like they're a good customer. They purchase frequently, and they spend. It's about in the middle how much they spend, right? So as a salesperson, what might you want to do with that customer? Okay, so what would you like to do with that customer? If you are the manager of that relationship with Big 7 Sports, what might you like to do? What would your approach be with that customer? Okay. Well, first of all, you know, we're happy that they are a good customer of ours, right? They're purchasing frequently, recently. Maybe there are opportunities to what we call upsell them, right? To maybe sell them more product, right? They seem to like us, right? They purchase from us frequently and recently. You know, their money they're spending is good. It's right in the middle, but maybe we could get more from them. We don't want to lose that relationship, right? But we also want to see if we can improve upon it. How about St. Louis Soccer Club? What about St. Louis Soccer Club? Tommy?
They don't spend frequently, but whenever they spend, they use a lot of money.
Well, their F is 1.
Oh, okay.
So Go ahead.
They did it recently, or they do it frequently, and they spend a lot of money frequently, but they haven't done it recently.
So what do you think about big St. Louis Soccer Club?
Maybe they changed something up. I don't know.
And what did they change up in their life?
Back to something recent. I don't know.
And what did they change? What is this telling us? So at one point, they spent a lot of money with us, right? And they spent often, okay? But the 5 tells us what, Tommy?
That they haven't done it recently.
So what do we think might have happened with St. Louis Soccer Club?
They changed prices.
Yeah, they changed providers. They went with someone else, right? They left us. You know, my heart is broken. So what are you going to try to do as a salesperson?
Bring them back.
Yeah, that's a person. That's a company for sure. You're saying, you know, they used to be a great customer. Did we do something wrong to them? Yes. You know, is there something? You know, I'm going to make that call and say, hey, why did you leave us? Is there someone beat our price? Is there how can we win back your business? Yes. Because a lot of times, you know, the worst. People think like bad feedback is the worst thing that can happen. That's not the worst thing that can happen, right? Someone just leaving is the worst thing that can happen. Bad feedback means, you know what, they still care enough. You know, the opposite of, you know, love is not hate, it's apathy, right? So they still care enough to give you bad feedback, and you still have an opportunity to correct that. But if they just leave, they just go somewhere else, right? This can kind of say, well, geez, this was a good customer and we lost them. How about Miami Municipal? We see a 545. What do we think about Miami Municipal? What do we think about them? Go ahead, Mr. Meyer.
They're not recently, they're not really frequently, and they really don't spend that much money.
Yeah, so basically they're a low priority, right? And think about it. As a salesperson, you might have, you know, hundreds of relationships to manage. You only have so much time in a week, a day, a month. So you want to say, where do I spend my time, right? Where do I spend my time? And they probably wouldn't get a high priority, right? Unless there was some other information I knew from the environment. Someone said, hey, Miami Municipal's building something, or they're doing something different. Then maybe, you know, that. But that, from what our sales data says, you know what, they might have left us, but who cares? You know, they weren't really a great customer to begin with, okay? And we look at Central Colorado State, they're kind of a middler. So you think about that. That is taking operational data, just data that we gather as a part of doing our operation, analyzing it, and coming up with some information that we can use to run our business more intelligently. Doesn't that make sense? Okay, that's what this kind of stuff is all about. RFM analysis. Okay, so I want to show you, okay, one more thing. So I think I showed you that. There is another type of analysis which we'll do when we fire up Excel, something called OLAP analysis. All right, so OLAP analysis stands for online, let's go together, analytical processing. I spell worse when I do vertically, I don't know why. But this is a math. Online analytical processing, okay? And when we do online analytical processing is we take a bunch of data, usually operational data, and we break it down in a couple different ways, okay? One of the things that we do is we usually group it according to, like, dimensions. Like in this example, this is an OLAP, and we call this an OLAP cube. Why do we call it an OLAP cube? Because it can be 3 dimensions. It can be more than 3 dimensions, but it can be 3 dimensions. The dimension on the rows here is the product family. So that's called a dimension. Drink, food, non-consumable, right? That's a dimension that we're looking at this data by. Another dimension we're looking at is, you know, the type of store it was bought at. Deluxe supermarket, store type, gourmet, non-size, grocery. Those are called dimensions, the way we kind of look at this. The third thing, the sales amount, is called a measure. Okay, so dimensions are the way we categorize things or group things, and then the thing that we're looking at, the thing we're focusing on, which in this case looks like the amount of sales, is called the measure. Now, when we look at this, it says online analytical processing, and what it's saying when it says online is this thing is online, meaning we can interact with it, right? It's not stagnant like when you get a piece of paper, right? When you get a piece of paper, it's static. You can't like drill down on it, right? You can't click the piece of paper and it opens up something else. You can't like change the sort dynamically. Online analytical processing, you can do those kind of things. That's the online nature of it. We can interact with those things. The other thing we can do with online analytical processing, because of the online nature of it, is we can do something called a drill down. What a drill down means is, okay, I know this is what I spend on drink, but I want to go further and I want to look at it by state. Okay, I want to drill down deeper. Remember we talked about data could be too coarse or too fine? Well, maybe it's too coarse. Maybe it's just by drink type, and I want to get down to the drink by drink and by state. Get down to another level. So I drill down into the data. Does that make sense? So these are some terms, and we're gonna do some of this with Excel. So I don't think there's anything else in the slides. No. Okay. So here's what I'd like you to do. We're going to do these 5 functions with Excel. We're going to take some time, maybe do an RFM, and take some time and do an OLAP, or a certain OLAP version in Microsoft Excel. So get out your laptops, if you would, please. And go to chapter 9. And let's go to the last data set. It says sample sales data for OLAP Cube. So click on that if you would. And that should bring up an Excel workbook. Hopefully. Oh, there it is. What's that?
Sample sales
Okay, so let's use Excel to do these 5 reporting functions. Okay, let's make sure that we know how to do these 5 reporting functions. So I have up here, I have the order date, the region, the rep, the items sold, the number of units, the unit cost, and the total. So a real simple data set here. So first, maybe I'm interested in looking at this by, I don't know, let's look at it by region, and then within region by date. So very simply, what I can do is highlight all my data, or I could just highlight the columns if I want, but I'm going to highlight it this way. And I'm going to go over to Data, and under Data, I'm going to click Sort. And I'm going to sort it by region, and make sure your checkbox says My Data Has Headers, right? My Data Has Headers. And I'll give you that little name because it takes the first row as, hey, this is data, this is headers. And within region, let's say we want to do it, so we're going to add a level, and we're going to say by order date, and we will do newest to oldest.
Wait, so what? What was the first thing you did?
All right. Where were you lost at, Tommy?
I was highlighting. It took me a second to figure out.
All right. Let's start again. I'm going to highlight all the data by, this time I'm going to do it easier. I'm going to click on A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so that'll highlight all those columns. Okay. Then we're going to go to Data. Data tab. And we're going to go to Sort. Okay. We want to tell it that, hey, my data has headers because that first row I selected was a header row, right? So it knows, hey, that's a header, not data. So now I want to sort by, I think I said by region. You might as well do A to Z, that's fine. But I want to add another level. So within region, I also want it sorted by date. So I'm going to add a level here. And I'm going to say sort it by region. Then within region, I want you to sort it by order date. And let's do, instead of oldest to newest, let's do newest to oldest. And now I click OK. So now I've been able to sort this and maybe glean a little bit more. Now at least I have all the centrals together, and I have them by date. So I have, the 1221 11s, and then, the 124 11s, and then I have the 1117 11s, and, the 1031 11s. So, I can get maybe a little bit better picture of something, right? Sorting is a easy tool, and it's a valuable tool, right? And if I want to look at, well, let's say I'm going to resort this data, so it's still highlighted. So just go to sort again, and let's delete this level. And let's now just sort by, I don't know, total. And let's do largest to smallest. That's fine. I click OK. We can see the biggest purchased was, Miko bought a crap load of pens on 2/1/11 and for $1,990. Okay, so we can see the big amounts, low amounts. So sorting is definitely a way I can take data and kind of, analyze it a little bit. Okay? Nothing earth-shattering there. The other thing I can do is I can filter data. So if I highlight my data, once again, it's still highlighted, and I click on filter. It's under data, and it's a big funnel. So I click on filter, and what it does is it takes those header rows and makes them drop downs because now they are filterable. If I said that right. And let's say I only want to see sales by, I don't know, Andrews. So I'm going to say, instead of select all, I'm going to say, I just want to see Andrews sales. So I click OK. Now I only see Andrews. And maybe within Andrews, specifically, maybe I want to see his binder sales, right? I don't want to see his pencil sales for whatever reason. I just want to see his binder sales. So now you notice, those rows aren't going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are still there, but we're filtered out, right? So it's like looking at, they're still there, but we're filtering them. We're covering them up. So it goes from like 1 to 331 because the other ones are still there. They're just filtered, right? We can't see them at this point. So that can help us think about it, kind of help us drill down a little bit. So let's unfilter. So I just click the filter, and the filter is off. Okay, so click the big filter, the filter is off. Grouping is a way of putting things together so maybe I can do some calculations. So I'm going to kind of do these two things together, right? I'm going to do grouping and calculating together. And I'm going to show you a couple ways to do that. The first one, which you maybe haven't seen before, let's sort this data by region. That's good. Let's just sort it by region, A to Z. Okay, so now we have it in region order. And I'm going to go over here. I have everything highlighted. You still have everything highlighted? Yes? Did I lose you guys? No, you're good? Under data, let's go to subtotal. Okay. And this is going to be kind of a grouping mechanism. Okay, we kind of sorted them all together like all the centrals. But we're going to tell it, hey, we want subtotals, and here's how we want subtotals. At each change in region, we want to use the sum function to sum the total. Okay, so let's just check the total box. So at each change in region, we want to sum the total. And we could even, if we wanted to, put a page break between groups so that when we print it, every region's on another page. But so let's check that. And we're going to put the summary below data. Click OK. Here's work. Do something. Okay, and if we look now, okay, all the centrals were sorted together. That's what we sorted them together. So at the end of the centrals, whoops, we had a lot of central cells, I guess. At the end of the centrals, I got to make that wider so I can see it. You know, we see a subtotal for the number of central cells. Okay. What it also did, I think you guys can see, is it gave me some outline buttons. You see that 1, 2, and 3 on the left-hand side? You guys see that? And we have now, you know, we have little pluses, okay, and minuses. And obviously, if I hit the minuses, what that's doing is grouping those things together. So, you know, the detail associated with the central is gone. All I now see is the subtotal. So, by doing that subtotal thing, think about it. I had to sort them first, right? I had to sort them in region. Then I grouped them by region, and then I calculated a subtotal. Okay, so we kind of did, well, probably 3 of those things at once. Okay, so 3 of those things at once. If I click the 2, okay, it will automatically compress all those things, right? So instead of me going down and hitting all those minus signs, if I just click the 2, it'll compress all those things. If I hit the 1, it's going to be super compressed, and all it does is give me the grand total. So, you know, I go 1, 2, 3. Now 3 gives me all the details. So think about what we've done there. You know, we're grouping, you know, and summing together, and kind of not quite the same thing, but kind of drilling down as well. Make sense? Okay, so you can see that function occurring. Let's go to subtotal and let's remove all now. Okay, so click on subtotal and click remove all, and we're back to where we were. So there's a lot of things we can do with formatting, right? We can bold, we can use colors, we can do a lot of nice things. One thing we can do that maybe you haven't seen before is, I don't know, let's say we want to highlight any cells over, let's say we want to highlight any cells over $1,500. So in the total column, we want to highlight any cells over $1,500. So let's go to the total column and highlight that. So click on the G and that'll highlight the total column. And go to the Home tab. And you guys see there is something in Styles called Conditional Formatting. You see Conditional Formatting? Click on Conditional Formatting. And there's a bunch of different things I can do with conditional formatting. I could do top-bottom rules, but I want highlight cell rules. So click on Highlight Cell Rules. Or just mouse over it, I guess. And I'm going to say greater than. I'm going to say anything greater than, what did I say, 1,500? And I can say, well, if anything greater than 1,500, I don't know, that's a good thing. So I want green fill with dark green text. So I can see now that column, any cell that contains a value greater than 1,500 is automatically green. So it kind of brings my eye to it, right? That's one of the benefits of formatting is it, you know, we can see color, we can see shapes and sizes. And what's nice about this is it's dynamic. So if I shaded it and the value changed, well, hey, it's still going to be green. But if I change this value, let's say that Jardine only sold, I don't know, one of these binders instead of 94. So that sale, total sale was $19.99 instead of $1,900. Well, you know, that formatting goes off. Yes, you guys see that? Okay. So there's all kinds of formatting rules, and I don't have time to get into all those here. But formatting is a very very powerful tool in Excel. Let's do something else with this. All right. So let's go to conditional formatting. Let's get rid of the green, and I'm going to say clear rules. Clear rules from entire sheet. Clear rules from entire sheet. Okay, so another tool that's very useful, which is kind of Excel's, it's not a perfect representation of it, but it is kind of Excel's version of an OLAP cube, is something that, I know most of you have me for statistics already, is something called the pivot table, right? So it can be very much have those kind of features, like we have dimensions, we have measures, and we can drill down. So let's take all this data. So once again, I'm going to select A through G. So highlight all my data. A through G. And let's go up to Insert. And on the very far left, go to Pivot Table. This is probably old hat to many of you. And we already have our data selected. We want our pivot table in a new worksheet. So let's say the dimensions that I want to look at here are, I don't know, region and item type. Okay, so region and item type. Those are the dimensions I want to categorize that data by. So what I can do is I'm going to drag this region field down here into the rows and drop it. So now here are my three regions: Central, East, West. I also said, what did I say? Item. So let's take this item field. Uh-oh, what's going on with my... Let's take this item field and drop it into my columns area. So we have a binder, a desk pen, pen set, pencil are the things that we sell. Those are dimensions, right? Those are things we group by. So they're called dimensions in this OLAP cube. The measure that's important to me is the total sales. So I'm going to take that total field and drag it into the values area. Now, it gives me some information, but by default it says count of total. You guys see down here it says count of total? So it says in the central we sold 105 binders. We also sold 21 desks, 7 pens, 42 pen sets, 91 pencils for 266. So we do have some information, but maybe instead of seeing the amount of sales, maybe I want to see the number of sales, I want to see the sum of sales. So I'm going to go down to this count of total. I'm going to click the drop down. I'm going to say value field settings. I'm going to change count to sum. And I'm going to change, while I'm in here, I'm going to change that number format. See the number format? And I'm going to change it to currency. So I want to show it as money. I'm going to get rid of the decimal places. I click OK, click OK. Now we have grouped our sales. Okay, we have grouped our sales by the dimensions, region, item type, and the measure that we're looking at is the sales amount. Okay, so that is information that's useful to me, yes? Now, why they call it an OLAP cube is because right now we have two dimensions here, right? We have the sum of, we have the region, we have the item type, but a cube has 3 dimensions, right? Length, width, and height. Well, we can also drag, let's say we drag rep to the filters area. So take that rep value and drag it to the filters area. Remember we talked about filtering. And maybe I only want to see, so right now it's giving me all the rep sales, but maybe I only want to see, I don't know, a few of these reps. Maybe I want to see, instead of all, maybe I want to see Andrews, Jones, the people we're thinking about firing, Miko, I don't know, Sorvino. I click OK. So now this OLAP cube has 3 dimensions going on. Now I can't see all those dimensions, but it's telling me, this is the sales for those 3 regions. It's kind of filtered for these item types for just those salespeople, right? For just those salespeople. Now, if I want to see all those things, if I want to see the salespeople, let's remove this field. So let's remove this filter, I'm sorry. So click on the drop down, say remove field. And I can get another dimension so that I can see it if I take this rep and I drag it under region. Oh, it's still filtered, so I want to get rid of this. It's an unfilter for me. Put rep back under filters, I'm sorry. And I'm going to go back to all because I want everything. So get it back to all. So put rep back under filters, put it back to all. And then you can leave it there, but drag rep under region as well. So now I have basically 3 dimensions going on, right? I have region, I have the representative, and the type of sale that they made, right? So for the measure, what's sale? Now, if I want to drill down, and you guys should know this, if I want to drill down and I want to see, okay, Smith sold $605 of pencils in the central region, and I want to see the data on those sales, how can I drill down on that data? What can I do? You guys should remember from stats. I want to drill down further. I can double click on that 605, double click on it. It opens another worksheet tab that shows me just the subset of Smith pencil sales in the central region. So think about it. I kind of drill down to another level of the data, right? Now I can analyze this data separately. Like I want to see what these, right? So I can start at the big, drill down, and then do more analysis, right? That's kind of a process called data mining, like looking for things in the data. So what I want to show you is this had, I don't know, this had like maybe 200 records, maybe 300 records, I can't remember. But it wouldn't have mattered if this had 1 million records, this data set. Taking us the same amount of time to do this analysis, right? The same amount of clicks, the same amount of steps. And some of you are familiar with some of these tools because of stats or other classes, but some of you weren't. And I think it was pretty easy to go through that, yes? So that's kind of where we're at with the ability to analyze data. You don't have to be a genius to do so, to take operational data and come up with actionable information. When I say actionable information, meaning something that you can use in your business to do certain actions. You can, let's call in this sales. Why is this guy not selling enough? Why are his sales down? So very easily we can interact with this data. So questions on it? All right, so then let's go to another data set. And what we're going to try to do, and I want you guys to think about this, is let's go back to course material by chapter. Let's go to chapter 9. And there is, at the very top of chapter 9, it says retail preview sample .xlsx. Let's open that one. And enable it.
steroids? I already went through just antibiotics. Maybe steroids.
You guys have the data? All right. So let's say I task you right now. This is you work for Dr. Miko, first day on the job, and I say to you, hey, here's our sales data. I want you to do an RFM analysis. So your first thing is, what the hell is an RFM analysis? So you go back to your desk, you Google it. It's like, oh yeah, I remember talking about that in MIS102. Your boss wants it by the end of the day today. All right. What do you do? Come on. Let's take the easier ones first. Let's say I want to rank these by, so this is our customers, right? These are our customer numbers. I don't have the names, but I have the customer numbers, because you know that's how customers are usually identified in organizations, not by the name, but by some primary key, right? So we have a customer ID. I should have put a name in there. We have the payment method, whether they bought it in store or out of store, the date they bought it, the product, the item number, the amount. So I have all these customers here, right? And then there's other things in here. I mean, the transactions tab is what I want to focus on. But we have demographics, like, you know, this customer registered this date, they're female, that's their birth date. We have, you know, the products that they buy, you know, all those good things. But really, we're just going to focus on this transaction, okay, this transaction table. So let's start with money, okay? I need to rank these customers by how much money they've spent with us. And instead of us doing 1 through 5, because we don't have that many customers, let's just do 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we'll just do like the 1 for the customer who spent the most money with us, 2 for the ones that spent us the second amount, you know, the middle third, and 3 for the last third. Come on, I'm looking for ideas here. Yeah, thank you.
Will you sort it by items amount?
Okay. All right, let's try that. Okay. I'm glad you're talking. Let's do that. So I'm going to highlight all my data, and I'm going to do data, and I'm going to sort, and I'm going to sort it by, he said items amount, largest to smallest, Nick? Okay. Now the problem with that, okay, is this is the largest transactions I've had, right? But I want to group by the customers, right? So I want to know, like, you know, like 100,588,277, you know, bought $48, $48, $48 from me. So I want that aggregated to, what, $144. Okay? So I want to know the total amount the customer spent, not just in one transaction, but their life with us. How much have they spent? That's what the M stands for, right? So that's a good thought. I like that. At least you're, you know, that's good. But that's not going to cut it. Sarah.
Like, if you sort it by the customer ID and then the item amount, and then you put the total row under each one. So you have a total for each.
She's right. That's one way that'll do it for us, right? So she said, let's sort it. Let's put all the customers together, right? Because they're not together right now. Like, a customer could have ordered from us on January 3rd, and then, you know, January 10th, and then December 8th, whatever it might be. So she said, let's first put all the customer transactions together. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So let's sort it again. And let's sort it by customer ID. And I don't care. Let's do smallest to largest. So this helps me a little bit, does it not? It says, hey, customer 30975, looks like they had 3 transactions with us. And those 3 transactions totaled, I'm just doing it in my head, but it looks like $348. And then, you know, customer 859 had 6 transactions with us, and those totaled $144. Okay. But I don't want to do all that in my head, right? For every customer, that's kind of a pain. Well, so what do you think I should do? I think Sarah said it actually. What did you say I should do?
Make a subtotal after each transaction.
Okay, so one tool that I showed you that will do that is that subtotal tool, right? So let's go, now that it's sorted by customer, go to that subtotal tool that we use. It's under data. And click on subtotal. And we want to do at each change in customer number, because we haven't sorted by customer number, at each change in customer ID, I guess I should say, use the sum function and let's sum the items amount. Okay, so items amount, that's good. I think that's good. So let's click OK. And now, what I was doing in my head, it did for me. $348, $144, $792. Okay. So it kind of gave that to me, which is nice. Now, if I want to get rid of the detail and kind of just see the customer and how much they spent, I can do that here. Now, there's a little bit of an issue with this. This tool doesn't work. It kind of works, but because we can see now every customer amount, yes? But it's not really the ideal tool to use. I like this as a start. But I want to use a different tool. Okay, so this is very good, but let's use a different tool. So I'm going to unsubtotal this. And what else can do that grouping for me? What else can group those things for me? So the subtotal tool is nice, and really it works well for when I'm going to take that data and like print it, because it'll put in page breaks for me, it'll format it like a report. But what other tool do I have that can do, Tommy?
What about the highlighting with the colors?
That could show me some stuff, you're right, but when we think about it, what we really want is we want to end up with this customer number at this amount of sales. And then we can sort it by that amount of sales and then rank them 1 through 3. Steph. Okay, I would probably use a pivot table, right? And what would I group by in this pivot table? What would I put in my dimension? What would my dimension be? Same thing Sarah used in her subtotal for the break. It would be what? You would be fired on Friday. I'd be like, where did you go to school? Someone let you down. I think you're just being modest, right? You could do it. You got it out.
I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, wasn't really a question. You would. Yes, you would, Stephanie. That's exactly what you would do. We are about out of time, but we will be here Friday, right? We'll all be here Friday. Is anyone traveling? Anyone leaving? People are leaving. Football league? What do you guys want this week? Ooh. What's that, 11 hours? How many hours is that? 7. Only 7? Brian's long. Yeah. All right, so we will pick up on this on Friday. Think about it, though. Try to do it yourself. And if you like this kind of stuff, if you like Excel, this is my personal promotion. I'm teaching a class on Excel next semester, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 o'clock. It's an excellent class, if I do say so myself. Excellent professor, excellent tools. It's a good class. So I will see you guys. Have a great day. Take some candy on your way out.
Is that the advanced success?
It is, yes.
Post the lecture for yesterday's lecture.
Yes. I think they're already for staff. You mean?
Yeah, for staff.
Yeah, it's uploading right now. Yeah.
I looked.
Yeah, it wasn't. It'll be there this morning though, Steve.
All right.